Hi there, I'm Barrie Seaton and I'm a licensed realtor with Royal LePage West right here in Coquitlam. And I just wanted to spend some time today to let you know about some very significant changes that we have just seen introduced to us in the real estate industry. But first of all, let me just say thank you for clicking on this video. If you found it through my website, thanks for visiting my website. If you found it on YouTube, I do hope that that you find the information that I'm going to be giving you to be useful and interesting. So let me just give you a little bit of background to start with. The real estate market and the sales prices right here on the Lower Mainland have really been increasing fairly steadily for about the last 6 to 7 years, and closer to that period of time they started to go up very quickly. So what happened was the provincial government and also a lot of buyers and sellers were getting a little concerned about this escalation in the sale prices. So the provincial government introduced a new program that was called the Office of the Superintendent of Real Estate, and that group, along with the British Columbia Real Estate Council, started to really have a look at what's going on here within our real estate industry on the Lower Mainland. And as of June 15th, there was 5 pretty major documents that were introduced to the real estate industry in British Columbia. And in future videos, what I'm going to do is to cover off some of these documents for you. But today, what I'd like to do is to perhaps bring to you I think the most important document that we have to deal with, and it is called the Disclosure of Representation in Trading Services. Now, as you can most likely appreciate, this has been shortened up a little bit, and we call it now DORTS, D-O-R-T-S. So what this document does is it says here, know your options as a real estate consumer, and all of the things that have been introduced since June 15th of this year specifically target who is working for whom. In other words, when a realtor is working for a buyer, there's certain things that the buyer has to know with regard to what they can expect from that realtor. Same thing applies if a realtor is working for a seller. And perhaps the biggest thing that we had handed down to us is we are not able anymore to enter into what's called a limited dual agency agreement. Now, this was where one realtor would be working for the buyer and the seller, and we were supposed to not share any information from either party. Now, it was really difficult to do that. Intentionally or unintentionally, we would quite often find ourselves thinking or talking about confidential information from one party as it related to another party. So this was one of the reasons why this document was introduced, and as I mentioned, it's know your options as a real estate consumer. And we have to give a copy of this document to anybody who we will be dealing with in the future with regard to real estate sales or purchases. And it talks in here about what to expect if you are a client of that realtor, and what to expect if you're going to be an unrepresented party. Now, this is a completely new area for us with unrepresented parties, and I will be talking about that a little later and when we do some more videos. But basically what it does here is it lists a number of things, and it asks, first of all, the realtor to check off a number of boxes here, things that we have had to do and discussions we must have had with somebody who wants to become a client. And we have to explain the special legal duties that a realtor has towards a buyer. And basically that is make sure you understand what agency is about, make sure you understand that any discussions we have with regard to buying or selling your property will be completely confidential, and that realtor owes you full loyalty, and the client will be asked to read this document and sign it. So this brings up a lot of questions about, well, what happens when I go to an open house as a potential buyer? You're quite welcome to go to open houses, and the realtor who is holding the open house will tell you certain things about the house, which are what we call general or public information. That's things like, what is the house listed for? How big is the house? How old is the house? How big is the lot? But if you start to ask that realtor, what do you think this property would sell for? That realtor is unable to answer that question for you, because that realtor has an agency relationship with that seller. So if you get into those kind of discussions when you're in an open house, the realtor is going to introduce this to you, discuss it with you, and you will be asked to sign it. But remember that if you do sign this, the realtor who's holding the open house is unable now to enter into a limited dual agency. In other words, you would not be able to work with that realtor who is holding the open house on behalf of the seller. So there's a number of other different issues and different rules and regulations that have been introduced, and I look forward to sharing some of those with you as we go forward with these future video presentations. But if you have any questions regarding the new rules and regulations, please feel free to give me a call at 778-229-6627, or you can email me directly from my website. But please remember, when it comes to real estate, you'll get no BS from Barrie Seaton.